Hey, this is Frank here from datadriven.tv, the podcast where we explore the emerging fields of machine learning, data science, and artificial intelligence. And a couple of things happened in the last, nothing bad, in the last maybe 12 hours or so, or 24 hours. Obviously, the Azure Global Bootcamp in Reston was awesome, and I also recorded a data point there. But today's data point is what I did after. So I brought my son with me. He had fun, and but we went to Toys R Us afterwards. And as you know, Toys R Us has declared bankruptcy, and they're basically having a fire sale of everything on site. And everything's up to 40% off. The keyword being up to. A lot of things were only 10% off. So as I'm going through there, and if you don't know, you're not from the U.S., Toys R Us was a major toy retailer in the United States. And, if you were a kid, you knew exactly where every Toys R Us within a 50-mile radius was from your house. And I even saw Toys R Us in Frankfurt when I lived in Frankfurt. And so obviously they were a company that had a good amount of success. And now that they're going bankrupt or they're going out of business, and clearly they've seen better days. But could this have been avoided? And I think yes. If you look at another retailer that has seen better days, Kmart, for example. And I remember living in New Jersey North Jersey, when Walmart kind of appeared. And it was clear where the employees really cared about the store. The Kmart near my house, it was just, there was stuff in the middle of the aisles. It was just a disaster. Whereas you went to Walmart, things were cleaner, the aisles were clearer. Now, I'm not blaming the individual employees, because this sort of thing is set from the high levels on up. To where I think a company reaches a certain pinnacle of success and they just give up. But it's as plain as day. If you're a customer, towards its heyday, Toys R Us was a very well organized store. But it was pretty clear since I've had kids and I've had to go there more often than not, is that there was we just don't care attitude. The one by my house, they messed up some of the billing address, so I didn't get the credit card payment, the credit card bills. So I ended up being late on a payment or two, and I only found out because I'm kind of OCD about my credit report. And I was mad, and I was like, I want you to remove this from the thing. And it was pretty clear, they just don't care. And so you're probably thinking, well, what's this about? Well, it was, I ain't gonna lie. It was kind of emotional going through like a store that I loved as a child, with one of my kids, and basically picking over the bones of the store. And, as someone who does data science, who does analytics, what could this have been foreseen? And this actually serendipitously, which is my $5 word of the morning, I saw an article about, it was on LinkedIn. I'll make sure I post it in the show notes. Basically that Jeff Bezos, keeps an email address accessible to the public, and he reads some of the customer complaints and he forwards it on. He doesn't reply directly usually, but he forwards it on to the, general manager of the department, that it is. And why he does that, is he has an interesting statement in the article, was that he found that if they have data that suggests that there's no problem, versus anecdotal evidence, usually the anecdotal evidence is right. And now as a data person, I kind of got my attention. And I think that, that is one of the secrets to Amazon's success, is their continuous and relentless pursuit of improvement. And obviously, I realize now that I work for Microsoft. They're a competitor, but they're a fierce competitor in the web service space. But the key here isn't so much that; is how he deals with customer service. And at that level, again, it's set from the top down. So I think the key takeaway here, and I know there's other problems that have come out in the media about how things are done at Amazon locations, But the key here is the phrase anecdotal evidence is typically more right than data. Now, part of that is, and the following paragraph kind of talks about this, is that the data that's collected is essentially kind of a finite thing. You have to know what to collect for the most part. Whereas anecdotal evidence is relying on human perception. Now, human perception is far from perfect itself, but it does have a few million years on data science, if you will. So I think, seeing kind of the downfall of Kmart and Sears as well as the downfall of Toys R Us. Now, a lot of people will blame Amazon for that, but Kmart and Toys R Us do share some of the blame. I mean, just walking through the store, several stores, it's not just one store, I could tell the employees didn't care. There was stuff strewn all over the aisles. They just didn't care. Now, Walmart, what's interesting about Walmart is that it's not hopeless. So I noticed that Walmart had gotten to that point, right? So originally when I first saw Walmart, everything was clean and wonderful and all that. And Walmart kind of, once they hit the pinnacle, I saw that we don't care attitude. Now I have noticed lately, maybe over the last, 6 to 8 months, that attitude is shifting and they, you don't see as messy of a stores. And I think it's important to know that you don't have to accept the decline. You can fight back. You can, what's the old poem? Don't go quietly into the night or something like that. Like basically fight against the decay. And, Walmart seems that they're doing a good job of it. But, obviously companies that are out of business, not so much. But, the key takeaway is that data may not tell you everything because you may not be collecting the right things. And that's an opportunity to learn. I think that's one of the secret sauces to Jeff Bezos' success. And it's critical to do that. It's critical to understand your customer because your customer is probably your best feedback mechanism of all, right? They'll complain. They will they'll either spend more or not spend or reduce their amount of spending. So I think that's really where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. And I think it's important for folks in the BI space and the data space not to be so wrapped around the axle about just the data, right? Data is important for sure, but you also have to take into account kind of the anecdotal evidence, and you kind of have to scratch your chin and say, what are we not collecting? And who knows if somebody at Toys R Us had done that, when for all we know somebody did, but clearly somebody in a power to do anything didn't do anything about it. If that had happened, Toys R Us would still be going on. My kids would be taking their kids to Toys R Us, but that didn't happen. So this data thing, it's important, but you also have to rely on the neural network in between your ears, and as well as your ears, and kind of listen to customer complaints. Take a walk around. If you have stores, take a walk around them, see what's going on for real, and make them, go in disguise if you're easily recognizable. So with that, you have a great day.